Hi, I'm Sume and I'm 11 years old. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Makeshift Homeschool. Makeshift Homeschool is a platform where young people around the country use their unique strengths and passions to create projects to share with the world. Hi, in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use the widgets Linear Gradient and Radial Gradient in Flutter. So I have a Flutter app open right now. And right now it's just a blank screen with an app bar that says home. Linear and radial gradient are both widgets that basically make a gradient effect, except linear gradient makes just a gradient effect in lines, whereas radial gradient does it in a circle from the center. And so I'm going to be showing you how you can do that. You can add linear gradient to buttons or just to the background of your page to make it look a little bit more professional if you do it right. And then, so now it's run. So basically this is the app. It's just a app bar that says home, and we want to make the background with linear gradient. So linear gradient is something that you can add to a container using the widget box decoration. So container has a property called decoration, and this allows you to do more things than just gradient. I'm pretty sure you can add like borders and things like that, but we're going to use the widget box decoration, and inside box decoration it has the property gradient. And so first I'm going to be showing you linear gradient, and the way you do that is you just call linear gradient, and then you can see there are a few properties you can choose. Colors is where you specify the different colors. The first color that you put is going to be the first color that shows up on your gradient. And so I'm just going to start with colors dot yellow, and then I'm just going to put a few colors. You can put as many colors as you want. You don't have to just stick with 2. I'm just going to put in 3. And then I'm going to put these all in the shade 200. Then if I refresh this, then you can see there's a gradient effect that goes from yellow to orange to pink. And so now what if you want it to go from top to bottom, or from one corner to the other corner, or from this corner to another corner? So there are 2 other properties, that is begin and end. And for this, we are going to be using the widget alignment. And so alignment basically just gives you, makes it so that you can identify a spot within a rectangle. So as you can see, there are a bunch of different things you can do. There's bottom center, bottom left, bottom right. And so this is pretty self-evident. If I were to choose top left, then the gradient effect would start at the top left. Let's say I want it to end at the bottom right. So now if I refresh this, it now starts at the top left and ends at the bottom right. So you can add as many colors as you want here. For example, I can just do and then so I can do pretty much as however many colors I want. And then if I refresh this, then it'll show the entire rainbow. And basically with alignment, you can have it show up anywhere. If I wanted it to start, let's say, if I wanted this to start at the bottom center and then go up, then I can say top center. Then it would start at the bottom and then go up. And so there's a bunch of different things you can do with it. And so now I'm going to show you the widget radial gradient. And so radial gradient does not have the properties begin and end. So I'm just going to delete this. And now all I have to do is I can just change linear gradient to radial gradient. Now, if I refresh this, you can see that it starts at the center and then moves out like that. So it doesn't really look all that nice because it starts in the center and then there's way too much purple. But radial gradient is something that if you wanted to have it start in the center and go out, then you would use radial gradient. So now I'm going to show you how you would be able to implement this into something like a button. So let's see here. I'm going to delete this, and then I'm going to change the body to a column. And now I'm just going to add, and so now this is another widget and it's called a gesture detector. And what a gesture detector does is it basically makes it so that you can turn any widget into a button. So I'm going to make it so that I'm going to make a button out of a container, and the child is going to be a text widget that says, click me. And then I'm going to have a padding around it. The reasons why I'm going to have a padding around it is because I don't want the button to just be smushed up against the text. So now we're going to call the property decoration box decoration. Now I can do gradient, linear gradient, and then I can say colors, and then colors dot blue and colors dot blue, but I'm just going to put these at different shades. So 800 and then 200. And so now if I refresh this, I now have a text and it has this, it has a gradient effect right here. And now there are a few other things that we can do with box decoration. For example, we can say border radius and then border radius dot circular, and we can say something like 15. And what this does is it rounds the button. And 1 second, I'm just going to wrap this column in a container and then just add a padding. The reasons why I'm adding a padding is just so that the button isn't smushed up against the sides. So now it's in the middle right here. And so now, as you can see, I can say border radius, and then if you do border radius dot circular, I can change how much I actually want it to round, but just however much, if the number is bigger, then it's going to be more rounded, and if it's smaller, then it's just going to be less rounded. So I'm going to just keep this at 15. And so that is a few things. You can also change this to radial gradient, and that's what the button would look like. It's a little weird, but I'm just going to keep this at linear gradient. And so now, as you can see, the gesture detector has an on tap function, which allows this to be turned into a button. So if, for example, I quickly made a page, and I'm just going to import material dart TLES page 2, then I can just quickly make another page that is going to be called page 2. And so now I'm just going to make it so that the gesture detector we'll take it, we'll make it so that you can go to page 2. And so the way you do that is by using the widget navigator dot push. And basically what push does is that you, in Flutter, you have all your pages in a stack, and what push does is basically pushes whichever page you want to the top of that stack. And so now if I say navigator.push, I'm going to keep context in the root. I'm going to take as material page root builder context page 2. And the reason why it's giving me an error is because I need to import page 2.dart. And now, so basically what I did here is I used navigator.push, and then I said I'm going to call the widget material page root to make it so that we push page 2 to the top, and therefore making it so that we can now see page 2 when we click this button. So now if I say click me, we're now on page 2. So this is how you can use linear gradient to make just a button that's a little bit more, I guess it's just has a little bit more to it, and is makes it so that your UI can look a little bit more dynamic if you make it so that your button is gradient, and you can literally put gesture detector around pretty much anything. So gesture detector is just a widget that makes anything a button. So we just made this container with the gradient effect and then wrapped it in a gesture detector that made it so that it could go to page 2. So that's the widget linear gradient and radial gradient. It can just help you make more dynamic apps that look a little bit more interesting than just having a solid background or a solid background for a button. And so check out both my Flutter playlists on Flutter tutorials that show you how to make full apps, and also my playlist on different Flutter widgets that you might want to use.